everyone, and welcome to Sip Happens. Life's too short not to sip and tell, where love, travel, food, and a little bit of chaos all come together.
It's Ben and Dustin. We're partners in life, travel buddies, and occasional food critics.
And we're bringing you real stories from our 16 years together. The good, the messy, hilarious, and sometimes fucked up moments.
We'll be sharing everything from how we met to what it's like starting over in a new city, our throuple journey, our favorite eats, and the random adventures we somehow survive.
Plus, we'll be taking your story requests. So if you want the real behind-the-scenes scoops, you're in the right place.
We hope you've got a drink.
Because we've got one.
Sounds like it's time to get comfy. Now let's get into it. Well, did you miss us?
We're back.
Well, welcome back to Sip Happens. Thanks so much for joining us again for our second episode. So we're coming to you from our rooftop overlooking Buckhead in Midtown Atlanta, which is amazing. So I have to warn y'all, this week's episode might be a little longer because we've got a lot to sip about. So let's sip and tell.
And what are we sipping on today? This is Octopado Cabernet Franc. It's from our favorite wine shop and tasting room, Chambly Deep Roots, and it's delicious. We are big fans of the Octopado brand, so if you want to check it out, you can totally go there and they will hook you up or invite us and we'll go with you also.
If we're not already there.
That part. So we're going to get into Not Today, something that annoyed us this week and we are just not having it.
So I have to go first. When we were at a gathering this past week, and there's a beautiful charcuterie board, and I'm standing in line behind the super nice young lady, and, well, then there's someone else that walks up who has already grabbed her food and says, "Oh, hold on, I'm just going to jump right in front of you and grab a few more of these things real quick. Ma'am, there's plenty here, and we've been patiently waiting. Please get in line to jump in front of us just so you can finger fuck the kumquats that are on this board." Which is another not today. Please use utensils. I don't know where your nasty ass fingers have been, and I don't really think I want to know. So anyways, the lady in front of me looked back at me, and all I could do to the line cutter was give a good hip hop and a nice hard eye roll. It was the only polite thing I could actually do. So anyways, what are you saying not today to?
Okay, well, finger fuck the kumquats I don't think was on my bingo card for this week.
Well, it is now.
So bingo. I kind of have a few. So we were in Charlotte last week for work, and we checked into our hotel, which was a cute little spot, and it was like a little boutique hotel, whatever. And so when we checked in, she was like, well, hold on, let me back up. When we travel, anywhere I go, if it's over at least an hour car ride, when we get there, I need a cold glass of wine.
True story.
And probably for breakfast, I need Chick-fil-A, the little chicken minis. That's just kind of my vibe. So anyways, when we check in, she's like, oh, if you want continental breakfast, you need to go to the basement. And I'm like, the basement? That's kind of weird, but whatever. And she's like, no, the breakfast is great. She was like, you really should try it out. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she was like, no, really try it. And I was like, okay, I get it. So the next morning, we get up before work and all the things, and we hit the level to go to the basement, and I'm hungry. Okay, I'm ready for breakfast. We get down there in the basement, which is rather scary. And on the counter, there are cornflakes and just a little like thing of milk. Just a communal milk vase.
It was a carafe. It wasn't even closed or anything.
That was the breakfast that she was just selling so hard. And that's just, no, that's not okay. However, they did have some little individual chocolate milks, which I was here for. So I grabbed a chocolate milk.
You do love a chocolate milk.
Correct. So I grabbed a chocolate milk, and then we go back to the elevator, and it's stuck. And the guy comes down. He's like, oh, God damn it again. And he just starts beating on it. I'm like, where am I at?
But pause. He wasn't just some guy. He was a flaming homosexual.
That part.
And he was trying to be butch in front of us homosexuals and tried to pull on the door to make it reset. And then he was like, I'll ride it to the top floor and send it back down for you boys. Thanks, I guess.
He what he wanted to ride wasn't the elevator,
I
but
can't.
anyways, okay. So then my second thing would be this week has been a week, and so yesterday I was like I talked to my coworker. I'm like, I've got to focus. I've got to. The ADD is ADDing, and like it's a lot. So I decided that I would put in my AirPods and listen to classical music because that helps me like focus. So I'm listening to classical music. I'm doing the thing, but Apple Music thinks classical music is the sound of music. So as I'm trying to focus, then the Lonely Goat Herd comes on from the Sound of Music. So then I'm trying to out yodel the Von Trapp children, and that's not helping my ADD. And so then where it's just a sing along. So like that was just another like not today Apple Music.
It also doesn't help me when you're yodeling in the background when we sit back to back with our desk spaces.
You're welcome for that.
Am I?
Some people would love that.
Some. Not sure who, but
Okay.
apparently some.
Well, if any of you would love that, please comment. And then today, I really wanted the new Khloe Kardashian protein popcorn. It's called Cloud with a K.
Bitch loves the Kardashian for some reason.
Especially Khloe though. She's the best. So I tried to order it earlier this week, and Target was like, "You need to spend a lot more money," and I was like, "Oh no." Meh. Also, don't hate on me for shopping at Target. I don't shop there as much as I used to. Target did it right back in the day when they did the whole like just a children's section and all the things. So
But where else are we supposed to shop?
that part. I mean, Costco's kind of our main go-to lately because they're doing it right. But Target, I had faith in them before. I still have faith in them. So we drive to Target because most things we walk to these days. So we had to get in the car. We had to go. There was a whole thing, and
I needed gas because the car was emptying gas.
there's that. So we had to go to Costco first. So I get in Target. I'm so excited. I'm just going down at it, and they only have one flavor, just one. All the flavors I wanted. This was the bottom of the totem pole, just the olive oil and sea salt. I wanted the white cheddar. I wanted the kettle corn. I wanted all the things, but they just had the one. So what did I do? Search the store all over, thinking it'd be an end cap. It was not. So that was rather disappointing.
Well, and he loves the popcorn. Popcorn for me doesn't do well because it ends me up in the dentist because for whatever reason my gums are super loose around my teeth and it costs me a few $100s. So this popcorn's all on him. But anyways,
sorry you're old.
Thank you.
I'm still 29.
Bitch, please. Anyways, y'all know we love a little bit of petty. But now that we've got that off our chest, let's get into the real reason why you all are here. To hear about us, obviously.
Okay, so before we get into the main story, during that break, I was like, oh my God, go inside and get the Khloe Kardashian popcorn cloud with a K so we can try it and tell everybody. And wah, wah.
It's trash.
It's not good. It's really, it's really not. It just tastes like cardboard bits covered in fiber dust.
You know those styrofoam nuggets that you get for packing? I think those have a better flavor and texture than this popcorn does.
Packing peanuts. That's
Packing
it.
peanuts,
Yeah.
that's it.
But they're fiber covered. So it'll
Not-
make you shit.
Not good.
So on to the main event. Let's start with we're still married, still sipping, and today we're spilling the tea about us. So why don't I start with how we met?
I mean, that does seem like a reasonable place to start, but I kind of need to set the stage. It was 2009. I was working full time and going to school full time. It was a Sunday night. I was totally over boys. Had my laptop out and my books, doing a little studying, while also checking on this chat room on gay.com. Yeah, so we met online. It was before phones even had apps to do these things. So anyway, I'm about to be done for the night and literally closing my laptop.
Well, to be fair, I had been out shopping with my sister-in-law that day, and I told her I was done with men when I actually am obsessed with them. But anyways, back to this. I was about to log off too, but thought I would do a quick last scroll, and I saw this boy I hadn't seen before, and I was like, who is that, honey? He is cute. So I thought, what the hell? He won't respond anyways.
Because they never do.
So I sent a quick message. Hey, cutie. And wait.
So he didn't have to wait too long because even though I was done with boys, I do love a little attention. And I was done with studying anyway, so I responded. And next thing I know, we were exchanging numbers, and it was like 2 a.m., knowing good and damn well I had class at 7 a.m. By the way, I'm not a morning person, and I really didn't pick this class. It was just the only offering they had. It's the joys of going to a small university. Anyways, at this point, Ben has asked 1001 questions at rapid fire, but I was here for it. Obviously, I was up at 2 a.m. talking to this cute boy that actually knew how to have a conversation, and it wasn't just one word responses, or wasn't just looking for something else, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
Honey, I was worth the lack of sleep. Okay. But I was like, this boy is too good to be true, and I'll never hear from him again. He'll probably ghost me, block me, do all the things.
And interestingly enough, I had never really been in a real relationship before. I'd been on a couple dates. I was part of a throuple situation before, but it wasn't anything like this, that's for sure. I didn't know the rules. What I did know is I wanted to talk to this guy again and again and again.
That whole throuple situation before me, I didn't find out until years later, but we'll get into that later.
True.
So we decided to go on a first date. I was living in Hickory, that's about an hour outside of Charlotte. Dustin invited me down to Charlotte to have dinner and some drinks, even though I wasn't 21. It had
Sorry.
been about 2 days since we first started talking online. We were already meeting. The gays these days would never, unless it's for a hookup. Otherwise, they never want to meet. So I get to his apartment and I park my little blue Subaru Impreza wagon out front.
I can't.
That was one of my favorite cars. Don't hate on it.
Ugh.
And after he buzzed in through the door, I was like, what in the bougie hell is this?
Look, it really wasn't that fancy. It was honestly the only apartment I could afford. I'd just moved out on my own from living with roommates. My TV was on one of those cheap ass shelves from Walmart laying on its side. Furniture from my old boss in Mississippi that was redoing the office and told me I could have anything she was getting rid of. And let's be honest, she has pretty good taste. So I took everything she was getting rid of. Everything else was pretty much hand-me-downs, like a walk I got from one of my doctors that I worked with because she got it as a free giveaway from Harris Teeter, and she didn't have a need for it. And honestly, I still have that walk to this day. It's amazing. Thanks, Dr. Halchin. The lamps in the bedroom were from this guy in the neighborhood, and he took me out to dinner once. But there really wasn't that much of a vibe between us, but I still got the lamps. Plus, I think I hit the jackpot with this first actual date. Things were a little tight with me being in school, trying to start a career with the health system that I really wanted to work for since I had first moved to Charlotte. So since I worked for a doctor's office, we used to get catering for lunches from drug reps.
The good old days of free good food. And it was kind of like being on a cooking show because it was like, how many things can I do with these leftovers and make them new again? But I missed that.
That's for sure. My coworkers were amazing, and I could take any leftovers I wanted home so I could have for dinner or lunches or whatever. Thankfully, because I didn't really have the money for those groceries.
Okay, so let's get back to us. I get buzzed into this apartment and I get to the door and I finally have the nerve to knock. It was kind of weird though because the door opened into the hallway, not into the apartment. So I pretty much almost got knocked out when you opened the door.
Look, I'm sorry. I was really nervous and scared, and then I realized that love at first sight was kind of a real thing because, y'all, I think I'm in love.
Or was that the margaritas talking because you were making them really, really strong?
Okay, I didn't think they were all that strong, and I'm sure it wasn't anything crazy. I actually think one of the nurses bought the tequila because she wanted me to have a great night. And all my coworkers helped plan where we were going to eat, thankfully, because I had no idea where to go in the area because I had just moved to that location in Charlotte.
Well, they were good and strong, that's for sure. So we get to Manzetti's in South Park, and we sat there quietly the entire time. There were these businessmen sitting behind us speaking in a foreign language, so we both pretend to be paying attention to them to try and have an excuse as to why we weren't really talking. Anyways, we finished that awkward dinner, and then he invites me back to his apartment to watch a little movie.
Really, it was just a movie. I promise. It was before the whole Netflix and chill. Because at the time, Netflix came in the mail. It wasn't like on an app, and wasn't really planning on the whole chill part.
Because we're that old.
Anyways, so we decide on Step Brothers. Well, I don't know that we decided. Ben decided on Step Brothers, which I kind of thought was the dumbest movie I've ever seen. But maybe it was just because I was nervous and anxious, and I was still having the best time despite how terrible this movie was and how awkward the dinner was because it was entirely silent.
Okay, but wait a minute. Did you even pay attention to the movie?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But anyways, so since we were having some drinks and Ben had an hour drive and he was underage, I decided to be a gentleman and invite him to stay for the night. I told him he could have my bed and I would sleep on the couch.
So I had to call my mom because I was underage and I still lived at home. And the convo went something like this. Hey mom, I'm at Jennifer's house. We're watching movies. I just made some chocolate chip cookies. So I'm probably just gonna stay here tonight. It's so late. You don't want me driving home late. That would be after my curfew.
So when he finally hung up, I was like, so do I need to know who Jennifer is?
Yeah, she's my best friend. She knows I'm here. Let me just text her and tell her I'm staying here for the night and her mom so we're all on the same page about me spending the night here in case mom calls her mom.
So, anyways, we get ready for bed, and I tell him to get comfy and make himself at home. And if he needs anything, I'd be in the living room on the couch. And then I was surprised at kind of what he said next. He said, "What I need is for you to not sleep out here by yourself." And I mean, I said I was a gentleman, so if he needed something, I would give it to him. So why would I go back on my word? And well, we crawl into bed together.
And not like that. Well, kinda. Maybe a little like that. But no, we did not have full on sex on our first date. God, who do you think I am? So the next morning, Dustin has to leave for class before me. And he's just like, lock the door, slide the key under the door. I'll come back at lunch and grab it. Like he had told somebody this before or
I had
something.
not.
So, of course, when he leaves, I call Jennifer, freaking the fuck out, and fill her out and everything. And as I'm locking up, I ask her, should I just keep the key so I have an excuse to see him again? But I slide it out of the door like he told me to, anyways.
And meanwhile, I'm starving and maybe slightly a little hungover from the margs.
Because they were strong as fuck.
They weren't that strong, or at least I didn't think so at the time. But anyways, I needed a little Bojangles before going to class. So I'm sitting in the drive-thru and my phone goes off. And it's Ben. My heart literally drops to the floor because I know this has to be too good to be true. So I pick up my Moto Q. For those of you who don't know, it's like a BlackBerry, but made by Motorola. And the message read something like, I had a really good time last night. Thank you for everything. I locked up and put your key under the door, but that better not mean that I don't get to see you again.
That was a Tuesday into Wednesday when I left. And well, by Friday, we were officially dating. Y'all thought lesbians moved quick.
Well, if they think that was quick, why don't you jump into what happened the next week?
So there's this. I worked in assisted living at the time, and my director knew everyone around. So I told her that I met this really nice guy in Charlotte, and if things continue, then I probably would consider moving there by the end of summer. This was January. She said she'd make a call and she would find me later. No more than 15 minutes later, I hear her high heels clacking down the hallway. She pulls me aside and said, "You have the day off tomorrow. You need to be at this address at 10 a.m." And I was like, "What?" I think she noticed by my jaw hitting the floor that I was in shock. All of that to say, she said, "If it's just something you want, just go and see. No biggie." Shit. Now I have to call Dustin. I have to tell him what's going on, and he would need to take me there because I don't know my way around Charlotte, and I'm not used to driving there.
Newsflash, he's still not. So he likes to be chauffeured around, but I kind of love it because I enjoy being in control and driving. So there's that.
That part. Anyways, we get to the place, and I walk in, and they tell me to start filling out paperwork ASAP. And I'm like, no, I'm just here to talk and see if there's an opportunity by the end of summer. The HR manager said, "Oh, no, honey, you're already hired. Your boss gave such an amazing review, and we know her, we trust her, so you start in 2 weeks." Meanwhile, my phone is going off nonstop from Dustin because I've been in here for hours and he has to get to work. So I finally get to the car, and of course, he asks, "How did it go? Why did it take so long? What's going on?" And I say, "Can we just talk about it when we get back to your place?"
Oh, hell. This has to be where it ends. Or at least so I thought. So he proceeded to tell me that he was hired and would be starting in 2 weeks. And he couldn't turn down the opportunity because of the raise, and he was going to be making so much more money at this job. But he needed to move in with me. Well, I guess that's better than I expected. So, of course, he moved in after knowing each other for about, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. And here we are.
Well, we've been more places than just here. We moved apartments about 4 times, then bought a house together, then moved to Albemarle, then moved back to Charlotte, and now we're in the ATL.
Okay, now that you know how we met, let's do some quick random questions. Everyone knows my first impression of you. What was yours of me?
Honey, I was like, "Who is this cute, blue eyed, very tall boy?" And I had a feeling in that moment that you would be by my side for a very long time. Who said I love you first?
Well, that's probably easy. I'm sure it was me because, like I said, I like a lot of attention, and I never thought I would have that kind of feeling for somebody after first sight. And after the next several weeks after that, and we were living together, I'm sure it was me. Um, so there's that. What do you think has kept us going so strong?
I think I would say communication for sure. The good, the bad, and the ugly. There was a time we didn't have that communication and it didn't go so well for us. Dustin was in college and he worked full time. And did I mention he can be a workaholic?
Just a little bit.
We had been together for like a year or two at this point, and I had to sit him down one day and tell him I wasn't happy. I didn't feel like coming last, and I needed time for me to wrap my head around all of it. Now, Dustin does not know how to give space.
Have I told y'all that like love attention and physical touch is my love language?
God, he annoyed the hell out of me, and he would not leave me alone. This went on for a couple months, and we were still living together, but in separate rooms because we were in a lease and we couldn't afford to do anything about it. I was set to move out because he was annoying the fuck out of me. And then I got the flu. He forced me to come back into our room to rest. Y'all, it was a trap.
It was not a trap.
Not only was I dying of the flu, but I was forced to sit with this annoying asshole who wouldn't leave me alone.
Wow.
But needless to say, it forced us to lay it all out there and tell it like it was. We made a promise then that moving forward, we would always have that type of communication and we would not hide shit from each other. I never went back to that guest room after that night anymore. After that, also, well, I really think you missed my boyfriend casserole too.
That is true. It is really good.
Boyfriend casserole was a meal I made for every boyfriend when I wanted to show him that I was the entire complete package, and it always sealed the deal. Still to this day, I will bust out my apron and make some boyfriend casserole, homemade mashed potatoes, and some green beans, as a southern gay man should do for his man, honey. But seriously, anytime anybody asks us what the key is to holding us together for so long, the answer would be vulnerable, honest, strong communication.
Yeah, that was definitely a hard lesson for me to learn, but I knew I wasn't giving up on this that easily.
I think also another thing that holds us together is when most couples are like, "We need to go home. You don't need another drink." We're always kind of on the same page of being like, "Yeah, we could have one more. We could do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Sure."
just one more.
Right. I mean, it probably gets us in trouble, but it's what makes us us. Okay, so
Spicy time.
oh god, where is the most? I can't. Dustin wrote this question. Where's the most random places we've had, adult time?
So probably the first most random place was I had an Explorer and we drove to see my family. And of course, there was no sexy time allowed at my family's house.
Hell, we weren't even allowed to sleep in the same room.
That is true. My parents were like, "You're not married." We couldn't get married. That was the big problem. If we couldn't get married because we're two men. But anyways, we weren't allowed to even sleep in the same room as each other. So, the urge hit. We went for a little drive, and the third row of that Explorer was quite convenient in the moment.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
so the problem is that I went down this back road that used to be just a dead end. No one was down there. Um, but after we finished the deed, we were driving down to the other side, and I realized that they had built an elementary school at the end of that road, and we had just had homosexual sexual relations in the back of my Explorer, probably 1,000 feet from an elementary school in Mississippi, of all places.
As Samantha Jones would say, we were coloring all outside of the lines. Okay, and then there was also that time on the balcony when we were leaving the cruise port.
Yeah, that was fun. Ben was not quite here for it, but because it was pretty public, but we had a good time to say the least. Okay, anyways, that took a turn, so let's move on. I feel like people are getting uncomfortable, but also we warned you.
Yeah, so you can uncover your ears now. And I definitely need a sip after all of that. And before we're canceled, let's move on and talk about some TV that we've recently watched.
Full disclosure, we love some good, trashy reality shows.
All right, so we're going to call this segment Reality TV Corner, even though it's not all reality, but 99% of it is. So just roll with it. So we'll just talk about recent TV shows we've been watching. So Vanderpump Villa, baby. Lisa Vanderpump, she is firing and hiring like crazy this season. If you aren't watching it, you need to. 10 out of 10 on Hulu. Okay, so Hacks. I have a real love-hate relationship with this season. I want them to get along. Every time they start getting along, shit goes south again. But Ava screaming about the whole Branzino and screaming into a bitch fit was giving me life. So that episode was tens across the board for sure.
And it finally made them start getting along. So,
It better stay that
I
way.
mean, Jean Smart ran into the ocean with her full ass fur coat, like chasing after who wasn't Ava. It was some random stranger was trying out for some cold, I don't know, water sports. It's involves sports, and I don't that's where I get lost. Anyways, it was kind of great because it brought them back together because Ava came walking back down the street and they made up, and it's what we want for them.
Yeah. So they just need to continue on that path. So it can just be a love relationship and not a love hate for me. The next show would be Bravo's Love Hotel. If you aren't watching this, you're missing out. Shannon Storms Bedore from OC Housewives, Giselle Bryant and Ashley Darby from Potomac Housewives, and Countess Luann from the OG Best of the Best New York Housewives. Now, the men could get kind of hotter on this. Like, Shannon is obsessed with Earl, and Earl is not where it's at.
He's not. He need to go. Earl gotta die. Is that the name of the
Correct.
song?
Um, I think so.
Something like
Dixie
that.
Chicks?
Something about the
Yeah.
Dixie. Well, I guess it's just the chicks now.
Oh, yeah.
But
Sorry, we're
Earl
not
gotta
old.
die. He don't have to die, but he need to get off the show.
So, like, Shannon's obsessed with him, and it's just, she's looking better than ever with her snatched body, her snatched face, but then there's just down in the dumps, Earl.
Poor Earl.
But everybody wants to date Ralph, and baby, me too.
Ralph is pretty sexy.
Ralph is one good looking daddy. But I want him to end up with Giselle, though. I really like their dynamic together. Now, that damn Ashley Darby, honey, she went over to the prison house and she borrowed the Grand Dame Karen Huger's wig.
It's a mess.
Her interview look seriously looks like Karen's wig that's always shifting around and the women have to help Karen adjust it. So Ashley is digging the younger ones here, as she should, because, you know, she's young. But they won't even make a move on her. Somebody needs to come in and just snatch her cute self up. But plot twist, she told Ralph this week that she's into him as well.
That bitch.
Everybody wants Ralph,
Everybody.
including us. On to Luann, darling. Luann just wants to F-U-C-K. She wants that pirate back from Scary Island days. She is not thrilled with these old men. But new men come in each week, so fingers crossed they'll get hotter. But Ralph currently has my heart. I mean, my vote. He has my vote.
Sure.
It's getting a little hot in here. I think I need another sip.
Well, why don't you have another sip? One that I was super into this past week was Next Level Chef. It was the finale. It's been a great season. I've really enjoyed all of the chefs that have appeared on there. I will say Beatrice, while she's an amazing chef,
Ugh.
she's too cocky. You're 18 years old, honey. Like, I need you to get your life together before you start coming for these other chefs. I get you're professionally trained, but calm the hell down. These other people have so much empathy and love for their other competitors, and she's just here to take it away from all of them.
Facts.
So if you haven't watched the finale and you do watch this series, mute it for like 30 seconds because bitch doesn't win.
Thankfully. God.
This cute boy Austin, honey.
Baby.
I really wanted Megan to win because she was a home chef and she made it to the finale. She's amazing. But Austin's really good on the eyes, so I was not mad at it. And I may have cried at the the season finale.
He cried a lot.
I was just happy. I was glad it wasn't Beatrice.
Also, though, if you don't watch the show, you need to watch all the Gordon Ramsay shows because they are all amazing. He does nothing wrong in my book.
That is true. And since we are talking about food, let's move into the bite of the week. Because our drinks are empty, so why not talk about some of our food favorites of this week?
Because why not torture ourselves with some food talk?
All right, so last night there was a pop-up at our favorite wine shop that we talked about earlier, Chambly Deep Roots. And this, what was it called? Fidela's Street Tacos.
Yeah.
Oh my God, y'all.
Baby.
So the owner always brings in great food options for us. But this one is at the top of the charts for me. So we looked up their menu before because she sent us all of the menu and the things that they were going to have. And they even had some vegan options because she's vegetarian and some of our other friends that go there are vegan. So it was super nice of them without even being asked that they supplied some vegan options. We are not vegan. And so we had some amazing food. They had some tacos that smelled delicious. We did not try the tacos because
he ordered the rest of the menu.
Well, and we had Mexican the night before. So anyways, we had we started with some birria arancini.
Baby.
I love some arancini anyways, but adding that birria meat to it and the sauce that comes with that, and they drizzled it with this like jalapeno and salsa verde, and then served it with a side of cilantro crema. Oh, I knew my night was going to be made. But like I said in the first episode, I don't know how to have just one option.
That part.
So they also had oysters, and we're just getting into learning about oysters and enjoying oysters. And they had some raw oysters that had a shrimp ceviche, some other sauce that I don't know how to say, and some fresh cilantro crema on top of that too. They were out of this world. It was nice and vinegary. It had the freshness from the cilantro, the nice shrimp flavor from the ceviche. They weren't super salty. I don't know. They hit the spot. And because I can't just have one oyster, they also had a chorizo Rockefeller.
Mm.
If things could get any better, it was with these oysters. So they had a chorizo cream sauce and garlic oil on top of them, topped with a chimichurri and a salsa verde, and of course cheese because it's Rockefeller. And cheese, I love cheese, but cheese doesn't always love me. But honey, I was willing to take the chance with these because the charcoal grill, like the whole thing, my mouth is watering all over again from last night.
I could redo the whole meal right now.
And wasn't badly priced for it to be fresh oysters and these handmade arancini balls with birria meat in them.
And they were like fat oysters.
Like they weren't
oysters. Tiny little baby. They were huge. They were really, really good.
And usually the bigger ones I'm not a fan of because they're super salty and are a little tougher. These, I don't know where he got them from. Don't care. Just bring them back.
Right. And I was like complimenting them, and I was like, you have to come back here because I need this in my life again. And he was like, which one's your favorite? And I was like, you physically cannot do this to me right now because they were all amazing.
Everything was great. I can't wait for them to be back because we will certainly be there. Okay, so I think we've talked enough about food because I'm hungry, even though I shouldn't be because we've already had dinner and snacks and some wine. But now that y'all know how we met and some things that you probably didn't want to know, but we shared anyways.
So if you laughed, nodded, cringed, or yelled same at any point, go ahead and hit follow, subscribe, or whatever your app says. Just click it.
And don't forget to send us your requests. Y'all can't just let us out here doing all this by ourselves. We want to hear from you. Do you have some crazy stories you want us to react to? What's the wildest things that happened on your last trip? Do you have a burning question? Is there still a topic you want us to dive into? Because, again, there's nothing off limits here. Send it all. You can slide into our DMs or send us an email at Sip.HappensPodcast@outlook.com. And we'll read it and respond to it, with your permission, of course, on the show.
And some of you have reached out saying you have questions, but you're a little scared to say it. So
don't be scared.
Correct.
Come on.
Right. Step it up.
Y'all have already heard enough about us at this point. Send it in yours because we need to know.
Especially after this episode. So we will catch you next time on Sip Happens because life's too short not to sip and tell. Thank you for listening. Now go grab a snack and refill your glass.
Cheers.